Donald Trump and his Justice Department, uh, they are investigating the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Chief
Chair.
Chair Jerome Powell, and that's something that is pretty unprecedented. At least that's what Jerome had to say about it. He said that paraphrasing, he
Mm-hmm.
said that this is because the refusal of the Fed dropping interest rates and the refusal of the Fed,
Yeah.
bowing to Donald Trump's demand.
I got his quote right here. I
It,
got his quote. I'll do it for you. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what would serve the public rather than following the preference of the president. This is where we're at. This is where we're at.
yeah. So long story short, he said that on Friday they served them with the investigation notification, and he said that he will not back down, and that is it's dangerous waters when the Fed loses its autonomy and
Mm-hmm.
becomes political, because the Federal Reserve is not designed to become political.
Mm-hmm.
It's not designed to answer to politicians, even the president. But Donald Trump is not a traditional politician or a traditional
Mm-hmm.
president by any means. And even the last Fed chair, she spoke about this, and she said that it sets a very dangerous precedent. It's
Mm-hmm.
extremely bad for the market,
Mm-hmm.
and something that needs to really be monitored. So, what are the thoughts on this? Will it impact the stock market? The greater impact for the economy?
Mm-hmm.
What's the overall thoughts on the president putting almost criminal charges? It looks like on one of the
Well,
most powerful people in the world.
we got to say alleged because allegedly he says he had no idea that it happened.
Wow. Not surprising. Legal caught
Oh
him
my
bright and
gosh.
early this morning.
Yeah.
Um, well, when this first happened, and Rashad, you pointed this out when they had that meeting at the construction site, he's going to be vindictive because he doesn't need anyone to uncover how tumultuous our economic landscape is. Like I was talking about this on Stock Club, and we've talked about it on the show and privately. But how bad do things have to be for a country in order for you to move up the GDP from 1% to potentially 5? You had to form a coup in Venezuela to get resources. So the way he's running this is like a mob boss, allegedly. Um, and any enemy combatant to the story is going to be punished. And it's the reason why this is so important, because they don't want the election to turn this year and with JD Vance running. I think it sets a terrible precedent. And also, the Federal Reserve is a private entity. So if they begin to push back and those higher powers that be begin to push back on him, I don't think it would be great for our economy. A mistake, in opposed to fixing the core problem, being punitive towards the chair because he didn't do what you want, is a grand mistake. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I mean, when we saw it the other night, it was just like, yo, it made me think about July, that meeting when he talked about the overspending, and Jerome kind of embarrassed him a little bit there. He's a vindictive guy. He's a guy that doesn't
Yes, he
forget
is.
things, and he's gonna try his best to make sure that he gets his way. And anybody that gets in that way, there's going to be consequences for it. I think it sets a terrible precedent, right? Even
Hmm.
if, I mean, to indict the Fed chair and subpoena him is just like, it's pretty. I mean, it's
And
never
you let
happened
out
in
a
history.
warlord. You let out a drug warlord
Yeah,
in
but what
another
what does it say
country.
about he is the Fed chair. He has two seats, right? He's also the governor of the Fed. So when he leaves in May, at if when his time is up, you still have to put somebody in his place. What does it say about the next person that goes into that seat, right? Like, are you going in there with no influence, right? Or are you going in there because you've been hand selected because you
Mhm.
know that the president's influence will be listened to and you will act on some of the things that he's asked for, right? He's been saying that we need to lower rates. It's funny because we had three rate lowering happening during 2025, right?
Mhm.
That wasn't even expected, right? All
Surprisingly,
the
yeah, I was gonna
expectations
say that.
yeah,
Yep.
coming out of 2025, it was like we might get 2 cuts, maybe 1. We got
Mhm.
3, and if you look at the minutes from all those meetings, the person who was fighting for those rate cuts was Jerome Powell.
Was Jerome Powell.
He was the guy that was actually fighting inside those meetings to make sure that we had 3 rate cuts to attack them because you wanted more. It's ridiculous. Now, what does it say for the market? It's interesting, man. You think about the past week, like you said, Venezuela. You're talking about institutions can't buy single homes anymore. You're
Mhm.
talking about having a freeze on interest rates at 10% for credit cards. All these things that are happening in, let's say, a 10-day span. Typically, this crashes a market,
Yep.
but here we are, resilient still, right? Like we didn't see a 1,000-point drop or a 500-point drop. The Dow opened down 300. It was like, okay, there's going to be some ramifications from an indictment from the Fed chair, but I mean, it
Yeah,
wasn't something
risk
that
is
was
gone.
right. It's very interesting, man.
Risk is back on, and no one cares about the long-term ramifications. Even with him wanting more interest rates cuts, it reminds me of '05 with the banking and subprime crisis. Everyone's thinking short term. And to be very clear, even with this point with the Fed chair, he wants to do what he needs to do so his legacy is intact when he leaves office. He's not thinking about the betterment of the country at all. So
Right. I, I feel like that's been the consensus. Right. We've seen that over. I think he's going to be. It'll be a year on the 21st, right? Since he was sworn in as president.
what a
He's thinking
year's
about
game.
his legacy from day one. He's thinking about his legacy, whether
Mhm.
it was from policy, whether it was naming buildings after himself. It's all been about his legacy, and it's going to continue to be that, including the Fed chair that that he'll pick.
Well, the
Yeah.
crazy thing is that he picked Jerome Powell.
This is true.
So
Well, some people
This
would
is
say that that was a forced pick. That wasn't his true pick that he wanted. That's who he could have selected at the time, allegedly.
I mean,
I,
but it's under his legacy
It's
as
under his
far
watch.
as
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
he got a chance to pick the Fed chair. He picked Jerome Powell. Okay, he don't like him, so he has who he wants to be the next Fed chair, and I think that he's Project 2025 as far as consolidation of power.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And one of the main things that makes the American quote unquote democracy different from a you know monarchy or a totalitarian type state is that there's different branches of government have different powers, and some branches actually are independent of the government, like the Federal Reserve, where in a traditional kingdom, the king has pretty much a say in anything that happens, from the
Hmm.
military to the Federal Reserve System to you name it. And one of the things, and so everybody in Project 2025 was talking about the civil rights aspects, and that's important. But one of the
Hmm.
main themes in Project 2025 was to consolidate power,
Power. Yep.
and that's what he's doing. He did it with the Justice Department, and now he's doing it with the Federal Reserve as far as to really be aggressive and pretty much saying, like, if you don't do what I want you to do, there's gonna be extreme consequences for that, and try to force a new Federal Reserve chair in. It's pretty unprecedented. I don't think it's ever actually even happened before. So it's unprecedented times that we're living in, but it's not surprising
Hmm.
if you really studied the playbook that they said they were going to do. It's not a secret.
Mhm.
Where are all
It's
the
been
deniers,
published.
Rashad? I remember when you first start posting it, and everyone was like, "Oh, this is fake," and all of them are quiet. Even in the Minneapolis issue, and we'll talk about that on Blackout. But everyone's quiet who said Project 2025 was fake. They're almost
It's-
following it line by line.
yeah, I think it's either you're negligent about it or complicit with it. Right?
Hmm.
Like it's either or. Like if you were quiet, that means all right. Well, it's happening, and you're like, okay, they said it would. But it's just is it surprising? I don't feel like it's surprising, right? Like even from the world of investing, right? Like when you're talking about lowering interest rates, yeah, that helps stocks out for sure. Does it help tech companies? 100%.
Yeah.
But even thinking about it, it's like the way that Powell did it was very strategic. Like he came out of a pandemic, right? There was all talks of a recession. We actually went into a recession. We had a bull market, a bear market. We had all these things. There was a soft landing. There was stagflation. There was inflation,
He managed
and
it well.
he still managed all of that. Like,
hmm
I feel like the tarnishing of his legacy is what he's trying to do. But I mean, the proof speaks for itself, right?
You can't argue with his plan. That's a job most people wouldn't want. I wouldn't want it. I think he managed that incredibly well, given the disaster that was put on his plate. And then to try and railroad him now because of a personal vendetta when he helped save you is insane.
He actually did the thing you wanted. He just didn't do it as frequently.
So, from a stock market standpoint, like I said, the last Fed chair, she said that this is going to have a negative impact on the market. Maybe not in the week, but long term. So, is this going to be bad for the stock market?
As I stated last week, I think the first half of the year will be great. Around the time we get a lovely cover for InvestFest, just get your tickets to InvestFest. Around that InvestFest time, we're going to see some turbulence, and that's the best time for you to be there, for me to be able to guide you on what to do. But the second half of the year is going to be trouble. And if they're talking about taking Greenland, the talks of Colombia, Nigeria, and Cuba are picking up. The valuations of stocks are eroding in some sectors. There aren't as many GDP movers, and even in the collaboration, we'll talk about Lilly and Nvidia later, Apple and Google. Usually, when companies are coming together for these deep partnerships, it's to prevent from triage from happening, and they're building a moat together. So the second half of the year is going to be incredibly tough because of some of these decisions that he's making. He's only thinking of short term. Like when he said, "Okay, I'm gonna give you $2,000 for the tariffs." Now he's saying, "I don't even remember saying that I was going to give people $2,000." Like what? You were on tape. 4K.
They got you on tape. They got you on tape.
This, I think they'll make the decision. I think within the next few months. I think May is when the new Fed chair will come in. I think at that time we'll hear his optimism or lack thereof of how many interest rate cuts we have, which will, like I said, if interest rates gets cut, that helps stocks for sure. I think you got to interested. July 4th is going to be interesting. I was doing some research on that those accounts, those baby accounts, those baby bonds that we had talked about, those going to affect starting July 4th. So you got a lot of money going in. So we'll see. We'll be able to report on it and we'll be able to act on it accordingly.
We'll see. But yes, speaking of that, get your tickets to InvestFest.
Yes.
Move the date up a little bit this year to give everybody an opportunity. A lot of people said that they couldn't make it towards the end of the summer. So August 7th through August 9th in Atlanta, Georgia. We are back. If you're in Red Panda, check Telegram. Ian, I'm going to send you the information. Check Telegram for your discount code, only discount code. Man, I ain't going to talk about it too much, but just know year 6.
You excited?
Yes, year 6.
Oh, we're working.
Year 6. And shout out to, I always just like to just check what other people have to say. And I like to check what some of the smartest people in the world have to say. And the smartest element that we have right now is artificial intelligence. So I just typed in to ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, just what's the deal with InvestFest? And man, that it's very humbling what they had to say about it. But when they compared to the global events, it said compared to Davos, InvestFest is open access, not elite only. Compared to CES and Web Summit, less hype, more money moves. Compared to Milken, community capital versus institutional capital. The reason why I just said those 3 is that I think people don't fully to this day, don't fully understand
how big.
For retail investors. Like this is the only place in the world where you could have $1,000 in your bank account and rub shoulders with a billionaire, or rub shoulders with a multi-millionaire, or get information that could potentially change your life. Like these conferences, Milken Conference, I think is $25,000 per day.
50.
It went up. It's 50.
50.
It's just like
3-day event.
So get your tickets, get your Fender booths, go to investfest.com, get the hotels. The hotels will sell out quickly. And once again, if you're in Red Panda, check Telegram. Ian, I'm gonna send you the information tonight. Okay. with that being said, let's go to a bonus. And do remember, we got the new setup. We got the new setup. Shout out to everybody that showed their love and appreciation for the new setup that we have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was Ian's idea to kind of have that old school PTI, where you see the topics that's coming up. So shout out to Ian for thinking about that. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to the person in the comment section a few weeks ago that asked for the ticker. We've
For
just been
sure. Yep.
taking different ideas and just been adding to it. But it only fits 10 at a time. So every now and then we do a bonus. So this question is a bonus that's not on the side of the screen. And it says, if you were to hold one stock for the entire 2026, what would it be?
For me, when I look at a company that I want to hold, I want it to have a few quality and characteristics. Like the executives are amazing. They consistently deliver a better year-over-year result. I never have to wake up in the middle of the night and think about if the team or the product is going to fail. And they innovate at a high level and at a pace to not only keep up with the market, but to lead the market. I wish this company was Apple, but it is Google for 2026. Google is everything I wish Apple would be. And you can even argue because of them, they're eating away some of the luster and esteem of OpenAI. So for 2026, Google is a company that if I just could only hold one and I had $2 to $3 million just to pour and never have to worry about a flight of extreme volatility, Apple would not be it. It would be Google. And they hit that $4 trillion market cap after the announcement that they are going to save Siri by including Gemini into their software. Sergey, that whole team, ever since I had my initial criticism of them 18 months ago, has been putting up 35, 15, and 10 in every front on software and AI. So kudos to Google. What about you guys?
Well, my question is when's a good time to buy it? Because that's the next question that everybody's gonna have.
Maybe stay to the end of the show and I'll give a price for where you could get into Google. Back to you, Rashad and Troy.
Yeah, I made last week. I made it very clear on my stance on the company of the year, and it was Google as well. For a lot of things that you said, I think one of the things you did point out is interesting is 18 months. So if you look back to about 18 months ago when we were talking about the products, Sergey did something very interesting, right? Like he was at home, right? This was the founder of Google was at home and decided to go back into work. Like think about that. Like he had left his position, was watching how the company was unraveling, and decided, you know what, I'm going back there because what's at risk is the future of our company in terms of artificial intelligence. And from that, you saw a drastic change. You saw Gemini is the product that he went back to work on, and now we're talking about that passing ChatGPT in terms of efficiency, and it's growing on its user base as well. So sometimes you look at things from a different point of view, a different perspective. He stepped away, saw what his company was becoming, and decided, you know what, I need to go back. And I can see where the market is headed, and I got to make sure that this company is going to be leading that. And he's been firing on all cylinders. Again, I had Google as a company of the year. I was waiting until to say it till last week. But if I had to choose a number two, I definitely, it would still be NVIDIA. For a number of reasons. GPUs are still going to be the story. The demand is still going to be the story. I think what Jensen did at CES a couple of weeks ago was very telling about where we're headed in terms of autonomous vehicles, right? Like he said, by 2029, every vehicle will have AI in it, but also robotics, and we're headed with that. So yeah, Google last week I said stock of the year. NVIDIA is still there as well. If I had to hold two for 26, that'd definitely be them.
Especially in the time of crisis, he's focused on making the company better. When Bezos was at Amazon full-time, his main focus was on making the lives of the customers better. Elon fell off the rails. He came back. He's focusing on making SpaceX, Starlink, and Tesla better. This is a clear lesson when you are in a company. You want the executive leadership to focus on making the product better and the lives better and not competing. Tim Cook spent too much time fighting Go ahead.
No, I was going to add to what you said because
Yeah.
you brought up Jeff Bezos. And
Mhm.
so watching what's happened at Google, Jeff Bezos is working too.
He got
He's
he
yo,
got off the yacht. All the greatest entrepreneurs right now are working. Magic told you. When most billionaires, well, I don't know, is it official Magic to billionaire? I don't want to ruin it. But
yeah,
he's
you better.
telling you, you got 15 months, you got 18 months.
Listen,
Most people are not telling you with a sense of urgency, yo, you got a window before it's over before they monopolize everything. Tim Cook was too focused on fighting with Zuckerberg and Elon and took his eye off the ball, and now everybody's eating your lunch. You want an executive who is Mamba mentality in the gym. It's not time for white sand beaches and Mai Tais. Go vibe code, go build something. And almost every project that he's wanted to develop has flopped in his tenure. You got the real greatest titans of tech getting back in a booth and getting to work.
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna give y'all a word, and this is some homework that y'all can do. The same way that Sergey came back to Google and said we need to create, right? And Gemini was the byproduct of it. Go look at what Jeff Bezos is building with Prometheus.
Hello.
Go, that's free game.
Mhm.
Go do the research on what he's building with Prometheus. Why am I saying that? Because I've done it. I've spoken to some people. Go check out what he's doing. Go look at what he's doing.
Talk
They're all
about
working,
sleeper.
right? Because again, I watched the company do it. They got a grips of it. They said, we see where the market is headed. How are we going to participate in this? This is somebody who's worth $270 billion, ladies and gentlemen.
And
He sees where the market is headed. He's watching how Amazon's going to play a role in it. I know that stock is, and again, this is one of my favorite companies of all time, maybe my favorite company of all time. We've watched how this has been consolidating, but when it moves,
Amazon?
it will move. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, I'll save some of that for another time. But yes, go do the research on that.
Great interview y'all did with Ian Schwartzman. I want to give y'all credit for that. But even in watching y'all, like even our group chat being quiet, I know y'all working. Can you stress the importance of it's not time to invest in companies who leadership is being lazy? And personally, for you watching, if you have not hit your personal revenue goal for the year, the last 5 years, now is not the time to play.
Yeah.
Now is not the time. It's a sense of urgency that you need.
I feel like we kind of you touched on it last week when we were talking about hyper concentration, right? And we kind of threw out that idea of like looking into 2026. Does that get better or worse? Right? Does hyper concentration get more intensified? I think it gets more intensified because the people at the top can see ahead. They can see the vision, but the most important thing is that they have the capital to do it. They got the capital to do it, and unlike some companies, if their AI division doesn't perform this year, it doesn't sabotage their overall revenue. Right? The Amazons of the world, the Metas of the world, the Googles of the world, the Apples of the world, who we're still waiting on for the AI, they're going to still bring in tons of money.